What actually works in content marketing in 2026? That is the question I'm going to be answering in this podcast episode, so let's dive right in. Now, we know that AI has been taking over pretty much everything. We now can generate the captions using AI. We can now create AI avatars. We can now replace our entire face. We can now record the voice, our own voice, using AI technology. So every single time I hear people say, the engagement is so low, I don't know why nobody's interacting with my posts, you usually have to take a look at your content, how you're using it, are you incorporating AI? Because what I've seen in 2025 specifically, there's been a major shift, and it literally looks like a bunch of robots are talking to each other, and that's why the engagement has been dropping. Now, I personally love AI. I think AI is great. I think it speeds up a lot of our processes. There's so many different things that you can do with it today. But the problem is that people started using AI for the wrong reasons. They're trying to replace their creativity. They're trying to replace their God-given gifts. Call it whatever you want to call it. But it really bugs me every single time I see amazing writers, the people who I know can write really good content and really good copy in general, and they just let AI completely replace that. And look, I've seen sales pages written by AI, and you can literally tell, unless you have your own frameworks, unless you give it your own strategies and methodologies, unless you specifically train your AI bot and agent to do things the way you do them, which does take time, unless you do that, you're going to get really bad output. And it's just lazy marketing, in my opinion. So, as a result of AI taking completely over everything and people's creativity, the trust has gone completely down. Not to mention, if you are in the coaching industry, if you are a service provider, you might have seen crazy things happening. People shutting down their courses, other gurus taking a break from their podcasts. So then, as a result, people start wondering, does this actually work? There's been a lot of people wondering if selling courses still works. I actually have an amazing guest coming up next week on episode 21, so stay tuned for that because she'll be talking a lot about selling courses. We'll be talking about a lot of marketing of what's been going on. Now, this lady, she has 18 years of experience in digital marketing, so I really grilled her on a lot of different questions. So I know you're going to get a ton of value from that episode. So stay tuned for that. If you're not subscribed to the podcast or the YouTube channel, definitely hit that subscribe button. Now, so AI really solved the problem of creating volume of content because yes, there is a strategy that you can attack your social media with volume, become completely undeniable, become unmissable. Every single day people open their social media platforms, you're right there. And that's great. I've done this kind of strategy manually back in the day in like 2016, 2017, and it worked. It really did work great. I used to post 3 times a day on Facebook, and I would have people signing up, working with me left and right. I've had my email list being built to incredible heights, and things were working great. Now, these days, that strategy still works. It's not as sustainable as any other strategy, but I really want to share 5 specific strategies that are going to be working in content in 2026. Now, before we dive into this, I want you to really understand that trust has never been at the bare minimum like it is today. People do not trust anybody because people fake Stripe screenshots, people put themselves on private jets using AI, people put themselves in Gucci and red bottoms using AI. It's crazy. Like, the industry has gone to absolute insanity, in my opinion. It's never been easier to lie about what you do as a business owner. And therefore, people don't trust the money wins. I personally don't. I always look at it with a grain of salt. Like, you always have to take some advice with a grain of salt and have your BS radar on. Now, here's what people truly start to value more is the expertise and actually how you think. Because brain, in my opinion, is irreplaceable. Yes, you can talk to AI. Yes, you can ask ChatGPT to give you recommendations. Yes, there's different AIs where you can basically have it deliver you an entire marketing strategy, but there's nothing more valuable than working with an expert who you like how they think, you like how they can see the blind spots in your business, and you like how they coach you essentially, or how they strategize with you. Now, speaking of content, the way that you can position your expertise and how you think and how you are different than AI and how you're essentially better than AI is creating a signature content series. So I've talked about this in several different episodes. I'm going to link them down below, but definitely go through the podcast and you'll see an entire episode on how to create a Netflix style signature series. But it's so powerful because, first of all, you can hold people's attention for longer, because we've been in this short form content loop for such a long time that people want more depth. And I know I've talked about this in previous episodes and previous YouTube videos, but you want to show people more depth. There's such shortage of really good quality content that signature series actually allows you to give your audience what they want, a deeper dive into your business, maybe a specific process that you recently have figured out, or how you reached a certain result. If you are a fitness expert, you could do a 30-day signature series of your step-by-step workouts, showing your meal preps, showing exactly what you do, and take them on a journey. Hey, I'm taking you on a 30-day journey on losing 5 pounds, right? So maybe you just have to lose that winter weight, you have to lose that Christmas or Thanksgiving weight, and you're just doing that little series. And this will work incredibly well because people will start recognizing you more often, because there's this thing with content these days. When you see a piece of content, it can be long form piece of content, talks about a generic subject, but anybody could have written that. So the way for you to differentiate yourself is to create a series and show people either how you document a specific process, like I said, or show them how you think, or show them how you take a client's account from 0 to 10,000 followers, if that's what you're doing. Show people how you are rebuilding your website, show people how you are, I don't know, trying to find a job, show people how you are building out your product suite. There's a million different things how you can create a signature series, and a lot of the coaches are teaching the signature series in a way of a video, which is still one of the most effective ways to create it. But there's multiple different ways how you can incorporate a signature series into your content strategy. You can create a YouTube signature series. You can create a series of videos for your channel. It would be something a bit more long-term. So you could, for example, share a series of how you would start a brand new YouTube channel, right? And it could be literally a signature series where you showcase beginning the channel setup. You could then create a video of the equipment that you would be using, then the research. So it could literally be like a 10-day series that you could create and really kick off your channel, especially if it's a new channel or you just want to give it a boost after maybe being inactive for a couple of weeks or months or whatnot. And you can also create a signature series by creating carousels on Instagram, because those are getting a lot of traction right now. They are getting shown on the Explore feed, they're getting recommended in the main feed. And when you have one specific series or one specific post that then goes to the next one and the next one, people will come back for more. So you're able to create that bingeability effect for your content. And if you're posting on platforms like LinkedIn or Facebook, you can create a signature series literally in just the written format. You could also incorporate that on the Substack. Now, what it does is it really gets you known for specific expertise, for the way of doing things. And you don't even have to promote anything. If it's your very first series, just create it to reach the right people. And that is really going to be the key this year. Is not just about going viral, it's about getting the right people to see your content. It's about the right people seeing your signature series, because you could create a series, let's say you spend a lot of time, you create it, and then each video gets between 200 to 500 views. And you may be thinking, oh my gosh, I've spent so much time and effort creating it and only to get this many views. Listen, if you get on average, let's say 400 views per video, that's still 400 potential eyeballs. You only need 1 or 2 people that are the right ones to buy into your high ticket offer or service or coaching package or whatever it is that you're selling. Because a lot of the times, I want you to remember this, clients do not always engage with your content. They're sitting in the background, they're looking at yourself, they're looking at who's actually going to still be creating content, because there's a lot of people who quit. There's a lot of people who started in 2025 they're no longer here. There's a lot of people who started in 2020, they're broke. There's a lot of people who made a lot of money in 2020 in that like crazy boom when we were all stuck at home, and then they lost it all. Long form content is making a comeback in 2026. Now, it's been here all this time, except for the fact that a lot of people forgot about its existence. There's been a lot of people who pivoted from YouTube back to Instagram. There's been a lot of people who stopped doing their podcasts. There's been a lot of people who've been saying blogging is dead. Listen, nothing is dead, especially when you look at the social media industry as a whole and you see what's been taken off in 2025. Hint, hint, that's been Substack. I've seen it left and right. I've seen a lot of creators and even celebrities and influencers jump on the Substack train simply because people want to write, people want to express their creativity, and people crave more long written or long form content in general, because I've been seeing this a lot and I've really been waiting for the moment where people would actually get back to consuming long form content, because watching a 7 or 15 or even a 60-second video is not really doing anything for you besides the brain damage. Now, I'm not saying that YouTube Shorts are not a thing. I'm not saying that Instagram Reels or Instagram Trial Reels are no longer going to be a thing. They're still going to be here, but people want to see that, first of all, you are a real person, because those faceless YouTube videos like YouTube Shorts or Instagram Reels, they're still working. Listen, everything still works if you keep working at it, but you have to choose what's best for you. And if you are a coach, if you're a service provider, if you're building your personal brand, there's literally no reason for you to be building a faceless brand and be hiding behind stock photography or videography. You really have to show your face and show that you're a real person, because it's really scary what's happening in the coaching industry when people invest hundreds or thousands of dollars into specific programs and they're hoping to get feedback on their content, they're hoping to get feedback on their sales pages or email copy, and then all they get is AI responses. Either coaches do not reply, either they openly say, oh, by the way, I have this membership where you're going to get feedback, but I'm actually not in there, right? And they get proud of the fact that they're just using AI. I'm like, why would I hire you if you're using AI? Sure, you might be using your frameworks to train AI and everything like this, but if I'm spending thousands of dollars on something, I kind of do expect more human touch, and I do expect actual human to take a look at my content, at my, video sales letters or webinars or presentations or anything like this. So you being whether on camera or creating long form content in any way, shape or form, I don't care what you do. If you like talking, if you like yapping, start a podcast. If you like being on camera and you're really good at it, start a YouTube channel. If you are great at writing, start a Substack and still have your own blog, because again, you do not own Substack. So please, for the love of God, start your own website, put your articles on there as well. Do not just rely on third-party platforms. And the reason why long-form content is always going to dominate, in my opinion, when it comes to generating leads, when it comes to attracting high-quality clients and the right clients, is the fact that short-form content is just there to get you the attention. Long-form content actually helps you keep that attention and hold it. So if you're going to do anything in your content, is combine two different strategies. And in next week's podcast, we actually have talked about this as well. And I mentioned this briefly, that you get to create something long form that lives on the internet forever, which is, for me personally, I do love YouTube channel the most for that, because I put out my videos and I know they're there for years. I still have videos from 5-6 years ago that are still bringing in subscribers and people over on my email list and into my, little ecosystem. And then social media is where I actually connect with people, whether it's Instagram, Facebook, or any other platform. So have two platforms. That's always been what I've been teaching. I'm still teaching the same concept in Content Confidential in my signature program. So do not just do one or the other, because just relying on short form content is not really a marketing strategy, in my opinion. Now, another strategy that's going to be really prominent in any content strategy is storytelling. And the reason for that is because, again, people do not trust anybody. They want to see real humans. They want to see who you are as a person. They want to see how you think. They want to see how you started. And I'm seeing a lot of podcasts actually right now popping up. And every single time you jump on a podcast, people always want to know your story. That's truly what matters to people. And I've recently been on a couple of amazing calls with other podcast hosts for potential collaborations and podcast swaps. And one of the things that always comes up is, what is your story? People don't necessarily care about the money that you make or whatever like your accomplishments are. Sure, that's great. If you've been speaking on stages, that's amazing. If you've been certified as a coach, that's amazing. If you've had a lot of amazing client results, great. It means you actually know your stuff. But if you don't have a memorable story, people aren't going to really pay that much attention. So every single time I bring up my story of how I first started in business, people always remember that. They're like, oh, you're that girl who started while still in high school, right? And listen, people want the imperfect stories. Nobody relates to this like perfect lifestyle or perfect coaches. Like, in fact, if you portray this amazing, perfect life, but you're still in the trenches, you're still building your business, you're still doing the thing, it's not easy to believe somebody like that. I've seen actually several people online, and especially I see this conversation happening in certain coaching communities. It's the fact that when somebody who is, a mom, she maybe has 2 or 3 kids, and then she just has this perfect lifestyle and everything. And then other moms simply don't relate. They're like, I don't trust what you're doing. You may be listening to this or watching this video, and you're like, well, I'm a mom and my life certainly isn't perfect. I'm trying to juggle so many different things. I'm trying to, have these kids and manage them and make sure they're raised well, and then have this business, and then have the family and all these different moving pieces, right? So there's no, in my opinion, I don't see it being as perfect. And every single time I see that, it's really not believable. So you want to show your slightly vulnerable side. I'm not saying that you have to be on a pity party and wait for people's approval or wait for people to just like say, there, it's gonna be okay. No, but you have to show really what's happening behind the scenes. Show the good, the bad, the ugly, as they say. Because you want to create that emotional connection with your audience. Showing your expertise is one thing, but then showing your story is another thing, because people relate to that a lot more and they connect with that a lot more. People aren't just going to buy your product because of who you are. They're going to buy the product, yes, because of your expertise, but also because of the emotional connection they have with you and your personal brand. Now, another big component that's going to be forever prominent in your content strategy, that's going to really work, is video. Now, I know there are so many people that rely on Substack. There are so many people who love written content, and there's Threads, which I personally absolutely love. I've been connecting with the best people on Threads, and it's such a great platform because there's very little ads so far, thankfully. We can now message people, which is a great perk. You can now link your podcast on Threads as well. And you can create long form content there as well. You can create short form content. You're not really pressured to be creating videos for the platform, and it still gives you that variety of content. It's like Twitter, but better, in my opinion. Regardless of all of that, all these platforms are great because low effort content, it's great, especially when it brings in the right people. But video content is exactly what's going to transfer trust from you to your audience, is exactly how you build emotional connection, is exactly how you build trust, because you see this video right now, or you're listening to me on the podcast platform and you hear my voice. It's not altered by AI. I mean, I do use AI to kind of like polish up the audio so the quality is a little bit better. But other than that, it's my voice, it's my own thoughts, it's what I've been thinking for the last couple of days before recording this episode. I've really been wanting to talk about, the content and what's going to perform, and more evergreen strategies rather than just a couple of little tactics that are going to come and go, or little trends, because I love trends and they're great, but it's not something that's going to be long term. I love talking about the long term strategies. I love talking about the actual strategies that are going to be working for months and years to come. I can almost guarantee you that you can listen to this episode 2 years from now and you're still going to be like, oh wow, this is still relevant. Like I should still be incorporating all this. I want this episode to be a reminder for you on what's working and what are the components that you want to be incorporating in your content strategy. Now, with video, again, you listen to me, you see that I'm a real person. I'm not altered by AI. My hands are complete, right? So I am not moving my hands at a really weird angle, and my, emotions on my face match how I speak, right? I change my tone of voice. I'm not speaking in a monotonous way, which is what happens with AI. I'm sure after a couple of years or a couple of months, it's probably going to be better and it's going to look even more and more realistic, which is absolutely scary for me personally. Like, I think it's just really crazy what's happening in the industry of AI and how quickly it has evolved. Because I remember when I was using different kinds of softwares before ChatGPT came around, and it used to be quite bad. And even the image generation, just within the paid platform of ChatGPT, I've used it to create imagery, and it's insane how accurate it is. I literally did that Christmas trend. I put my selfie into the program, I gave it the prompt, and my face was scarily accurate. But again, video is forever going to be dominant no matter which year we're in, because back in the day, back in like 2016, I remember when there were predictions that 95% of content is going to be video generated, and we've been here for years. So if you're not using video content and specifically using your pretty face, because why would you want to hide it with AI? If you're a pretty person, you're listening to this, you probably are. Why would you want to hide it with AI? And I know what some people are going to say, oh, I just don't like putting my makeup on and it takes so long. Listen, batch the videos. Take a day out of your week, sit down, batch the videos. You can do this. I don't have makeup on every single day of the week. I don't like it either. I used to put makeup on every single day. I don't do it anymore because it takes 20, 30 minutes to put it on. And then in the evening, you have to take it down. And yeah, I know it's annoying for a woman. It's annoying. If you're a guy listening to this, you probably have no problem with that. So like, also don't hide your face. And here's what I will say about the whole AI video generation and everything like this. For me, it's a big trust breaker. I love to buy from coaches and service providers who I know they are a real person. I know who they are. I know the kind of lifestyle they live. For me, AI just kind of breaks the trust because, again, like I said earlier, people can put themselves on private jets. They can put themselves into these Gucci suits or red bottoms, and they put themselves in expensive cars. That kind of marketing, it's been maybe effective. It worked for certain people who have a lot of cars in their garage, like you know who I'm talking about. But today, again, the bar is so low that you can literally use AI to put yourself anywhere you want. But in my humble opinion, putting yourself on a dragon is a lot more fun if you're going to do it using AI, because that is not believable, but it's just a fun little thing that you can do. If you can put yourself next to like a wild animal or a non-existent animal or next to a unicorn, that's cool. But putting yourself on a Ferrari when you don't actually own one, that's kind of ridiculous. And again, that does make people lose trust. They want to see the real, authentic you, possibly unfiltered, because I feel like AI is just the glorified version or improved version of the little, face filters that we put on Instagram stories and on videos and stuff like that. People want to see your pores. People want to see, the little scar that you have on your face or whatnot. People want the raw and humanity actually coming out of you, because when you just only have this AI version of yourself and then you get on a phone call with people, I don't know, in my opinion, it gives me the ick personally. Like, I know for some people it works, great if it does, but for personal brands with coaching offers, with communities, with memberships, you want to be yourself. And now, of course, I do want to mention AI and how to use AI in your content, how to make you more efficient and faster at what you do. Now, I do use it for a couple of different things. So I do like specific custom GPTs that are trained to give really good output, but I always first work on the input that I give to the AI. First of all, I always want to make sure that the ChatGPT or whichever AI I'm using actually knows my brand, it knows my voice. Some of the things that I did tactically is to give the transcripts of my podcasts or my video episodes to show it how I actually speak. So that way it can use the words that I'm using, because I really hate when AI just starts using the same words that everybody else is using, some of the words palatable or, whatever the heck else. And then you want to give it your own ideas so that it can basically frame whether it's a long form video, whether it's a podcast, whether it's a script for a short form video. You want to feed your own ideas, because that's really the problem that happens with AI output, and why a lot of content online seems like one person, quote unquote, AI created it, because people do not give unique ideas to their GPT, to their AI agent, or whoever it is that you're using. So this episode in particular, so I'm recording this, I did use ChatGPT to structure it properly. I used it so the thoughts are more organized. I'm still speaking. I don't necessarily have a script. I do have kind of like a brief outline, but I had a couple of ideas that I wanted to share in this specific episode, and I just ran them by ChatGPT. I was like, okay, so this is the episode, this is the title that I have in mind, and these are the ideas that I want to share with my audience. Please organize them into the episode and pull out anything that I shared with you before, right? So I give it the prompts, and I make sure that I also rely on its memory, because there's a lot of input that I've already given to my GPT, and then it basically spat out the entire episode. And then I just move things around and I share whatever I want to share, because there are some of the things that it gave me, and I'm kind of looking at my script right now. So you know how it likes to use that stupid contrasting statement? Don't do this, you should do this instead. So it gives like little like bullet points. For example, there was one in the storytelling part of this episode: no framework, just clarity. Like, I'm not going to say that kind of stuff. Like, that's stupid in my opinion. So I don't like to use every little bit of it. So you really have to use your own discernment on what you're going to use in your content. But one of my favorite things to do is to properly train it, give it my specific frameworks, strategies. Hey, this is how I'm using this. This is my content framework. This is how I write my content. This is what I want you to be using. This is the language that I want you to use. These are the words that I want you to avoid. So you can even create a content bank of words that you don't like using, so you can give them to ChatGPT. If it keeps using and reusing the same words, you can give it to them. You can give it to it. If there's any specific words that it keeps using and you don't like them, then you can give them specifically to ChatGPT, and it can essentially eliminate them from next time you are creating content or whatnot. But again, focus on your own ideas first. And I challenge you, if there's one thing that I want you to do after this episode, sit down and write your own piece of content from start to finish, without relying on AI, without relying on ChatGPT, Gemini, Claude, any of these tools. Use your own brain, because I can almost guarantee, if you've been using ChatGPT for the last maybe like year or 6 months, or any other AI for that matter, and you feel uncreative, you don't feel like, I don't know, yourself, you feel disconnected from your content, AI is literally the reason. So use it to organize your existing thoughts. You can run your content by ChatGPT after and see what kind of feedback it's going to give you. I've personally actually been enjoying Claude, because it kind of does rip you apart, but it does give you really good feedback on your writing. But use your own brain, use your own ideas, sit down and write a piece of content from start to finish, because I can guarantee it's going to be so much better than ChatGPT, and you're going to get such a better engagement and better interaction from your audience and better response from your audience that you maybe have not been getting on all these AI ChatGPT generated posts. And one thing that I want to leave you with in this episode is make sure that everything you create has the intention. If you create a signature series, make sure it has the intention. If you create a standalone long form piece of content, make sure it has the intention. Make sure that every single thing you do is not just filler content or something just like a little buffer. Make sure that you create with intention. You know why you're creating the content. And again, I challenge you to create yourself from scratch.